Përshëndetje and welcome to Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. Today I am joined in the studio by the German ambassador to Albania, Mr. Carl Bergner. Carl, welcome to Inside Albania and Albania because you're quite new here. Thank you very much for making time for me today. So I've got a long list of questions for you today. We'll get through as many as we can. But let's start with the serious ones before we get to the fun stuff. So first of all, I want to talk about Albania's accession to the EU, because obviously France and Germany are very instrumental in this process and have had a lot of involvement so far. But I want to ask you from the German perspective, so not the EU as a whole, what are the main concerns, or to put it more diplomatically, the main challenges that you see Albania is facing right now in terms of accession?
Well, first of all, of course, I would like to talk about the reasons why we are so much in favor of Albania's accession and the accession of the whole Western Balkans, and also of some other states in the eastern neighborhood, namely Moldova, Georgia, and Ukraine, of course, to name the big elephant in the room. We think this is, in these times of a war with a state within Europe, with Russia, a geostrategic necessity. It's not the only reason. We think, in particular, as far as the Western Balkans is concerned, this is just coming home of a region that always has been very important for Europe, that is surrounded by the EU. So we feel this is a process that is long overdue. We have tried to promote this through the Berlin process that started in 2014 already. And since then have worked on sort of aiding, helping this process. Of course, this is a marathon. This is not a 100-meter sprint, a short-distance sprint. It's a long-term issue because it needs a transformation of the whole society. I should say that also in Europe, with the founding member states, the 6 member states that created the European Union in 1956, this is an ongoing process. We are not also 100% fulfilling. And of course, for member states or candidate states who want to accede at a later point in time, it means they have to adopt the whole, what is called the acquis, which is the whole set of regulations that take place within, or have taken place, have been decided within the EU. And that means quite a lot of work legally, a lot of adaptation of laws has to take place, but moreover, a fundamental transformation of the society, of the political system as a whole. And there, I don't tell any secrets if I say that we are at the beginning of the process. Albania has made quite a lot of progress in the last years, which leads to the opening of negotiations, hopefully by the end of the year or beginning of next year. But as I said, this is a long-term process that will not be finished by the end of next year, I'm afraid to say.
Now, I've lived here for 6 years and I've seen a huge transformation in Albania in many different ways. Of course, there are some things that have maybe not improved, but overall things have got a lot better. But I think people, and you mentioned Ukraine and Moldova and Georgia, I think some people are perhaps a bit worried they may pip them to the post. You know, the Western Balkans has been waiting for a long time. What would you say to people who are concerned about this, being left behind?
No, I would say they should rather take this as a fact that adds new momentum to the whole accession discussion. Yeah, because it's now very clear that we have to strengthen these states against the aggression from Russia. And that perspective, EU perspective, we're not talking about, as I said now, with regards to Albania. We have, of course, to be aware this is a long-term process that will not be finished in a few years. But to give the perspective is very important to strengthen their resilience against the Russian aggression.
Mm-hmm. You said not something that's not going to be finished in a couple of years. Charles Michel said 2030. I asked the Prime Minister of Albania, he said, well, he's not going to be here then. All of the people who are in charge of this now are not going to be, in a year, 2 years, not going to be part of the process. Do you think 2030 is realistic in the context of this need to bring countries closer to the EU?
Well, there I would quote the President of the EU Commission, Ms. von der Leyen, who said, you know, it's not really useful to set a fixed date, to mention a time or a year like 2030, because if everything works very fine and nicely for Albania, they may have completed the process even before.
Yes.
And then we would not want to work till 2030. If the conditions are not right and not fulfilled, then 2030 would be also a void promise, because the decisive point is that all the accession criteria are being fulfilled. And that maybe in 2030, let's hope for a quick development like this, but it may be 2031, 2032, a little bit later. This doesn't matter as much as the question of how do we proceed in the process.